So today I'm going to talk about full recovery. Well, what I'm really going to talk about is the notion of full recovery versus, it was about sometime last year. I remember I was interviewing somebody for a podcast, and it wasn't when we were recording, but they just said something like, as those of us who are in recovery, and us meaning she and I, as we were talking, and it made me think, and it was like, what, in recovery? Am I still in recovery? I don't feel like I'm still in recovery. And I noticed that some people do refer to it like that. They'll say people will say to me, so you're in recovery from anorexia. And I often say, no, I'm very fully recovered, actually. I certainly don't consider myself in recovery anymore. And then there's a sort of in remission rhetoric, which I have absolutely used that word in the past. I know I have. I might even have written it into some blogs. And I think I did so just not really thinking about it. And then the other day I was writing a blog post about this, about full recovery versus in recovery or remission. And I looked up what remission actually means, and it means a temporary state of recovery. And I thought, no, that's certainly not how I would describe my recovery. I feel very robustly in recovery, and yes, it took years to get to this point, but I think it's really important that we think of full recovery as achievable for everybody, and that meaning not just better than you were, not just sort of, you still have anorexia, you're still in recovery, you're just a bit better and maybe you're not on death's door anymore. I mean, as good as it gets. I feel 100% back to the mental state around food that I was before I had anorexia. I don't really think it gets much better than that. I don't feel that there's a lot of work left to do there. I have no counting calories. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I have no compulsions to exercise anymore. I'm just really so similar in the way I eat and the way I think about food as the way I was before I was had my onset of anorexia at 17. So I guess what I'm trying to put across is, I think that if I had been told, when I started my recovery, I think if I had thought about it and thought, or been told, you can only really reach remission and you'll always be in recovery for the rest of your life. God, I don't think I would have bothered. I mean, it's not exactly inspiring, is it? You just get a little bit better, but basically you'll still be as fucked up as you are, just with a little bit more weight on. That is not inspiring. Or, you'll be in therapy all of your life. Not that I ever went to therapy, but you know what I mean. It's like, it makes it seem as if this is going to be this lifelong battle to stay in a state of health. And really it isn't. It's really not a lifelong battle. I don't think about food on a day-to-day basis, and I only think about anorexia because I work in the field full time. I'm not thinking about blogs and writing and books and YouTube videos and my clients. Guess what I am thinking about? Stingy! All right, am I denying that this is a genetic illness? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if you think about it, I had the genetics for anorexia when I was 3. I had the genetics for anorexia when I was 13. I had the genetics for anorexia when I was 16. I could have had the genetics for anorexia my entire life and never had anorexia. The reason that I got anorexia was because I went into energy deficit age 17. So I still have the genetics for anorexia. That's true. But as long as I don't go into energy deficit, I am hunky-dory. And that's not to say, I can get complacent about it, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to go into energy deficit. Burgers are my favorite food. Wendy's double cheeseburger at that, or Five Guys, but that's a bit of a toss-up. But anyway, so that's my favorite. Here's the thing, see, humans are really good at learning. Okay, so here's an example. Say if I have been known to jaywalk. It's illegal in America, I think. It's not illegal in the UK, it's just called crossing the road. But anyway, I have been known to jaywalk, and say if I got hit by a car and broke my legs jaywalking, then after they've all mended and my legs could heal perfectly, I wouldn't be immune to having my legs break again. Of course not. But I would learn by that experience to cross the fucking road at a pedestrian crossing. I would then reduce my risk of being hit by a car and having a horrible accident again by doing that, right? So having recovered from anorexia and having had the hell of it for 12 years, I have learned not to go into energy deficit. In fact, I think if there's one person in the whole of Boulder, Colorado who's not going to go into energy deficit, you're looking at her. It's right here. You know, like the New Year's, it's New Year's Day tomorrow or the next day, I can't remember which day, but we're at the end of the year, New Year's. So you've already got all the, New Year's cleanses, or start a gym membership. I'm like, no, that shit is dangerous. It's more likely that I will take up crystal meth in January than it is that I would go on a cleanse ever. Because I have learned not to go there. So I think that's another reason why I am pretty damn sure I'm not going to have my anorexia relapse, because I will go out of my way to make sure I'm eating enough food, to make sure that I don't go into energy deficit. So I think that's another thing that, while I'm not saying you can get complacent and your anorexia will never come back, I am saying you're smart. Just don't go into energy deficit once you've reached full recovery and you'll be absolutely fine. There is an element of control there. It's not like something like cancer where you don't really have any control over whether it comes back or not. You absolutely have control about whether you go into energy deficit enough. And keep eating enough cheeseburgers. It's not going to happen, is it? Keep resting. You'll be just fine. And the other important point here is that nobody else gets to tell you if you're fully recovered or not. So I've had a lot of people who I've worked with actually say, I'm fully recovered, but I still think about food the whole time. I have really bad mental hunger, huge exercise compulsions, and lots of anxiety around eating and guilt and shame afterwards. And my answer to that is, fully recovered according to whom? Because as far as your body's concerned, you're not fully recovered. Full recovery is in your mental state. Yes, you have to reach nutritional rehabilitation in order to get there, but nobody else gets to look at you, at how you appear, look at your appearance and say, you're fully recovered. No, full recovery is in your mental state. So if you've just gained weight, but still have anorexia-like thoughts, anxieties, and all the rest of it, I would hazard to guess that you're not fully recovered. And I think for some people that can be like a realization of, for 5 years I think I've been fully recovered, but I actually haven't been fully recovered. And that's okay. You know what? There's still work to do. You can do it. The human brain is neuroplastic. We can rewire anything, our thought patterns, even those that seem really entrenched and like they've been there forever. Our brains learn. They're really smart like that. So I think it can actually be, rather than sort of, oh God, I've still got more work to do, see that as a positive. Oh shit, things can actually get even better than they are now, because you'll be better than you were when you were really, really sick. But maybe you're not the entire way there now. And that's really important. And there's no judgment about that, and there's no shame in it. It's just you are where you are. And I think it's that realization that you deserve complete and utter full recovery, and not to let your own pride or anybody else's get in the way of you achieving that. Work out what you need to do and get out there and do it. Don't be afraid to think out the box. You are a unique individual, and you are also the person with the most information about your own eating disorder. No one else out there knows as much about your eating disorder as you do. And all of your past recovery attempts and all of these years up to now have given you more and more and more data about that. You are the one who needs to know what you need to do by either asking for help, finding the support that you need, or looking back and saying, well, this helped, this helped, this helped, this didn't help, this is what I'm going to go and do forward now. And your resistance and your anxiety does give you the clues as to where your problems lie. If that restriction is still present, regardless of what your weight is, if restriction is still present and you're still having those anorexia-generated thoughts to restrict, then you probably already kind of know that that's where the work is and that's what's needed. If it's body image stuff, shit, that stuff takes a while. So keep on focusing on what you need to do, not what anybody else's recovery looked like, because this is your life and it's your body and it's your recovery. And the only person being cheated out of full recovery at the moment, if you're not there, is you. And you've got all of the tools that you need. in order to get there. Just be brave and curious. You can do it. They can do it, can't they, Stinky? You can do it. Go for it.